shakshuka, which is a great egg dish that you'll find in a lot of those fancy brunch places. Now, what I'm going to do is make my version of it, and instead of baking it in the oven, I'm going to use my Dutch oven. So I'll get everything ready in the pot and then pop the lid on it, and that should bake the eggs.
How easy.
Now, what I'm going to do to start with, I'm going to add some bacon, or cut up some bacon. I've got some lovely smoky bacon there, and some chorizo sausage, which is a lovely smoked sausage with some great Spanish flavours. And what I'll do is I'll just cut it up nice and coarsely so that this flavours the dish, but you've also got things that you can pick up with your fork, which I think is really, really important. And you can see I've used the smoky bacon with plenty of fat on it because we want to have that fat flavour the whole dish. And I'll just cut that into a nice dice like that. Now, while I'm cutting this, I've got some Roma tomatoes there. If you can slice them up or dice them up into chunks, it's got to sort of cook through. It'll be slightly chunky, but thin enough to break down a little bit.
And what is shakshuka without tomatoes, right?
You've got to have tomatoes. Exactly. That's what makes the sauce. It's a very saucy sort of dish. And then once we've got all that sauce and that sort of lovely base put together, we'll put the eggs into it and let it bake. Now, I've also got some chicken here. And it's a great dish to put together. You know, you empty out the fridge and put all those lovely things in there. Now, what I'm going to do is get my my pan ready to go here. And I think it's quite hot to start with. It feels quite hot. So what I'll do is I'll get a nice big sploosh of extra virgin olive oil on there. And you need plenty of olive oil to cover the bottom of it. It's starting to smoke up a little bit, I know. So I'll get the bacon and the chorizo in there pretty quickly. Now, you can hear that sizzle, can't you?
Oh, yeah.
This is the bit where I get really excited because everything's going to happen quite quickly now. And I'll just stir that around. You can smell the chorizo and the bacon already. And I'm going to add some chicken, some diced up chicken there. Now, normally I would like to make this with chicken thigh, and I'd leave the skin on because I think the fat from the skin is so delicious.
It's a medley of meat in there, isn't it?
It's almost, I tell you what, I reckon I could just fry this off and stop right here and just serve it up on some toast, but I won't. I'll make this properly. So what I'll do is I've got some red onions here, and I'll chop these quite coarsely. But you can see I've taken the core out of them because I want them to fall apart. So the red onions I really like because they've got great colour and the flavour's also quite nice as well. So I'll chop them nice and coarsely, and it's a great dish for just throwing everything in. Now, I've also got things to add flavour. I've got some cumin here, I've got some smoked paprika and some chilli powder. If you're making it for the kids, you might want to pull back from the chilli powder.
This is going to smell good.
In it goes, about a tablespoon of each. And I've also got some cayenne pepper, which is nice and hot, about a tablespoon of that as well. Now, you can hear that sizzling away. Now that I've got everything in there, it's starting to slow down a bit. It's not sizzling as much, so I could stir the spices into there. It smells great.
It smells really good. And of course, if you don't like spice, you can just keep that the pepper and the chilli out and you'll be absolutely fine still.
Now, I reckon it's a great thing when a vegetarian is saying that a meat dish, or what's starting out to be a meat dish, is tasting really good. So I reckon I'm doing all right here.
Oh, you're doing fantastic. You're doing great.
Now, I've got a big clove of garlic here, and I've just smashed it with the back of the knife. And I've given it a really sort of rough chop, and in that goes as well. And I've got some capsicum as well. And you can see the capsicum, I've been quite clever and taken the seeds and the heart out of it. So I don't have to get seeds all the way through. And I'll cut that nice and coarsely. If you wanted to, Rosie, you could actually roast the peppers, peel the skin off them if you wanted to get that sort of flavour. But I like something nice and rustic, and the peppers like this is perfect. So in they go as well.
Oh, lovely. It is smelling fantastic.
It is, and all I need to do is wax it with this chilli here. You see I've got some jalapeno chilli and some long red chilli here. And I'm going to slice these on an angle like this because I want it nice and hot. That cayenne pepper, the chilli flakes, and the fresh chilli are going to make it really hot. Now you can see the jalapeno is quite chunky, so I'll run the knife through it a couple of times just to get those chunks down to more manageable pieces.
Oh,
and in it goes.
yum. It's going to have some kick, isn't it? I love a dish that just has a bit of a punch to it. I do like my spice.
This has quite a bit of punch to it, and my taste buds are already tingling. Now in goes some salt and some pepper, and I'll give that a really, really good twist of pepper. I love plenty of hot pepper. Tomatoes and peppers and all the spices work so well. And what I'll do is I'll stir this around for about a minute or so until it all starts to soften up a little bit, and then we'll add the tomato and we'll be ready to just finish this off. Now, Rosie, you can see everything's softened up beautifully. The meat's browned a little bit on the outside, but the smell has just filled the kitchen, hasn't it?
I know.
Now all I need to do is add the tomato, the beautifully chopped tomato. And a beautiful thing about the tomato, it gives it a great flavour. And this Roma tomato will break down a little bit and make it saucy. So in that goes spring onions in there as well and coriander. In goes a cup of chickpeas. Now make sure use chickpeas that are already cooked or tinned chickpeas. You can drain off the liquid if you want, or just add the liquid to it. It's got great flavour.
Oh, there wasn't enough protein in there already. Nice one.
It's a breakfast dish. This has got
All in one pan.
You've got to make sure that it gets you through the rest of the day. So in goes some tomato passata, about 700 mils of that. Now the tomato passata is quite thick, so I also add a little bit of stock or water just to thin it out just a tiny bit, and then I'll help to bring it up to the boil. There we go. Just a little bit in there, just to loosen it all up a bit, and also to give it some flavour, I've got some butter, just a tiny bit of butter. I'll just stir that into there, and the butter helps to round off the flavour of everything, gives it a little bit of fat, but good fat, and that'll make it taste even more delicious.
This is true. You can also use olive oil, couldn't you?
You could use olive oil. I did use olive oil at the start, and we're also using the lard from the actual sausage and the bacon in there as well. But what I do is let this stir around for about a minute or two till it starts to thicken up a little bit and comes to the boil.
Yeah.
Then we'll get the eggs into it and bacon. This will be delicious.